Welcome to the UpTiiCK Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lambert, and get ready for another episode featuring great CEOs, public company leaders, marketing mavens, and entrepreneurs. That's what's up. Hello, UpTiiCK listeners. I'm joined today on the podcast by an Aussie-born, Miami Heat and all things sports-loving serial entrepreneur, Matt Bailey, CEO of GameOn Entertainment Technologies. That's CSEGET, ticker symbol, or on the OTC, GMETF. Matt got his start in sports and entertainment in Sydney, Australia, which you'll hear in his awesome accent, but wanted to make it in America and had to start his own sports team to do it, a rugby team in New York. We'll talk about that a little bit, and his move from the minors into the big leagues, as now CEO of GameOn Entertainment, a public company in the fast-growing technology and fan engagement space. Matt, welcome to the show.
Jeff, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk and share our story.
Awesome. Well, so speaking of the story, tell our viewers and listeners and fans, your fans, about GameOn.
So GameOn is a game technology provider. So we're a white label solution. We're working with any content owner, that's broadcasters, teams, leagues, TV networks, and we're building games, things like prediction games, fantasy games, NFT-based games. And we're plugging those games into their environment, be it their mobile app, their website, their TV app, and it looks and feels like their environment. So for example, we've worked with NBC Universal and we did the official prediction game for the Real Housewives. You went to the Bravo app, you made predictions, you won prizes, but it all looked and felt like a Real Housewives experience. And we're helping them drive more engagement and revenue. And then they're paying us a license and sharing some of the revenue in return for using our technology. So that's what we do at GameOn.
And do you find yourself ever just stuck on that Real Housewives app that you just cannot get away from it?
You know what? It actually made me a Real Housewives fan. I was tuning in every Sunday to watch because I wanted to see how well I predicted. So that's the name of the game, engagement.
That's awesome. Well, talk to me about a sports example. I know you've got several of those both in the works and in the past.
Yeah, so we're also working with various other partners across sports, entertainment, media, helping them gamify sports, reality TV, news, elections, even the stock market, for example. So we're working with different partners. For example, in India, we're working with the biggest streaming platform out there called MX Player, doing all of their cricket prediction games. And then now we're parlaying that with more engagements with them, doing cricket, soccer, tennis, kabaddi, which is a traditional Indian sport. But that technology that partner uses the same technology as the Real Housewives example, our prediction game engine. So we can repurpose that technology across a wide range of content, from reality TV to sports and everything in between.
That really makes a lot of sense. So talk to me about the market size. So it sounds like in some ways you're creating new markets, but what's the market size of this fantasy entertainment and predictive gaming industry?
I mean, you can break it up into different markets, and together there are tens of billions of dollars in market size. You can look at fantasy, which is its own category, sports betting, which is its own category, which is sweeping across the US now. And there's a free-to-play part of that funnel that's really important, that we're helping some sports books or other media entities be a part of that sports betting wave at the free-to-play part of the funnel. Esports is in some way part of this as well. And then gamification as a concept is expanding across everything from the workplace to training to learning in all sorts of types of industries. So it's really hard to kind of pinpoint one total addressable market. We're kind of touching various different opportunities.
Well, in the diversity of some of those examples, obviously it's very broad and broadening every day. Talk to me about you went from the sports world as a broadcaster, a team owner, a marketer. Is there a natural evolution here to CEO into the entertainment world?
Well, I've always been in sports and entertainment, first in the broadcasting world in Australia, where I was selling advertising across the cricket, the National Rugby League, and the London Olympics. And then from there, I literally at my desk booked my one-way flight to New York and quit my job right there and then. And the dream was just to work in the major leagues in America. And when I got to America, it was I applied for every hundreds of jobs, at the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Nets and like all these major leagues, and couldn't get an interview anywhere. So I needed something on my resume, and that's why I started a rugby team in Brooklyn. It was my blank canvas. It was my way to show that I can sell sponsorship, create a brand, recruit a team of players. And as I did that, I eventually could get a role at the Brooklyn Nets, which was kind of the dream role, and worked there for a few years and loved it. But then kind of got the itch to do something in the startup world. And that's when we started GameOn. And it turns out that, moving to a new country where it was hard to get a job and I needed to do those things like start a rugby team, that was all good training for what ultimately led me to the startup world and GameOn, and has served me well. And, we're still having a blast. A few years later, we've been at it at GameOn now.
So you talked about recruiting players and building sponsors and building a team, and it seems pretty applicable to running a company. And I've always been, kind of a fan, if you will, of sports as an analogy for leadership. Talk to me about that history and how that really helps you as a leader.
Yeah, I mean, I think being an athlete in some capacity, and it's not necessarily a professional athlete, but growing up playing sports teaches you so many disciplines that you need, not only to be an entrepreneur, but to be a professional in the business world. And one of the key ones that I like to think about and obsess on is learning to love, or learning to deal with rejection and the ups and downs of entrepreneurship you have in the sports world a lot. As soon as when you lose a game whether you're playing in the little leagues or whether you're playing professionally, it hurts, but you need to learn to get over it and think about the next week. And I think that's a skill that is hard to learn. In the startup world, or when you're selling something, be it to a customer, to an investor, to anyone. If you're selling anything, it's really hard to get that rejection. A lot of people don't put their creative work out into the world because of that, because they don't want to get bad news or bad feedback or experience rejection. So sports kind of teaches you to embrace it and be okay with it, to learn from it. And I think I've brought that to my entrepreneurial world, to my startup world, is that a no is actually the next best thing to a yes. A fast no. A long drawn out no is the worst. So I think that's one of the big ones, but there are so many others, and that's why we see a lot of former athletes doing so well in the business and startup world, because there are a lot of qualities that you take from that and apply to the everyday life of an entrepreneur.
I think that's really insightful. Typically, that answer is often, well, you get competitiveness, you get teamwork, but I think that idea of learning about winning and losing, right, and losing part in particular, just prepares you for life and for business. So kind of moving a little bit, and I like to talk, instead of pivot, I talk about flip turning. So I'm a former swimmer. That's my athlete background. So flip turn to back to the business side. GameOn is getting into the M&A game, no pun intended. Talk to me about the Fan Clash deal that you recently announced, and what that means for GameOn.
Yeah, I mean, a big reason why we were intrigued and excited about going public is that we can scale our business faster by acquiring the right assets. And assets might be technology, assets might be partnerships and revenue, assets might be team, engineers, product people, employees, or in some cases, all of the above. We can use our stock, our public stock, as currency as well as cash to kind of acquire the right assets to accelerate our roadmap faster than we could on the private side of the fence. And the first way that we saw an opportunity to do that was with Fan Clash. So at that point, we only had a predictive gaming engine, so prediction games we would build for our partners. Now we've brought in Fan Clash, which is a real-time, what we like to call fast fantasy. It's not season-long fantasy. It's in a World Cup, for example, you could have a fantasy contest for every single game, not just for the entire tournament. And during that game, you can make and take certain actions like trading players, applying certain boosts that actually are applied live and in real time. So we're really excited about the technology and how it was built. We're excited about the team that we were able to bring on board as well, led by Sohail, who was the founder of that company, and now has come on board as our VP of product, but also as our head of Europe. He's based in London, so will help us expand there. But it was a very complementary product and technology. Now we not only have white label prediction games, but we have a fantasy product that is part of our suite now. So we're really excited to bring that on board, and we will do more M&A as well. Now we're looking at, the company is not just doubling down on NFTs, but tripling down on NFTs. We're starting to apply our game technologies to NFT products. We're also having partners come to us and asking us how we can help them design, mint, and sell NFTs. So we're now looking, how by way of M&A and strategic partnerships, how can we accelerate that part of our roadmap, which is really exciting. We did a deal with Polygon, one of the biggest blockchains, to help accelerate our developer part of that funnel and bring on engineers and talent that can help accelerate that. But we're meeting with lots of companies every day and every week on how we can potentially do another M&A transaction that can help us accelerate that as well. So it's an important part of our strategy.
So clearly, with this M&A and the organic development that you're doing, you're getting these kind of natural extensions of both your client base and also the technology. So you talked about NFTs, you talked about moving into other industries beyond sports and entertainment. Anything else on the horizon? Without getting into too much forward-looking, but anything else that you see in the offing for? Is the sky the limit for GameOn here?
We want to. At the end of the day, we want to be the best game technology provider for our partners in sports media and entertainment. We want to be the best that there is, and that includes NFTs. We think NFT-based games are one of the best ways to engage with customers for our partners like media, TV networks, broadcasters, sports leagues and teams. So you're going to see us continue to double down on games and continue to double down on NFTs. So that's where you should see us do that, and not for no reason either. We're not just chasing a shiny object. We're doubling down or tripling down on NFTs, NFT-based games. One, because we're doing it and we're starting to generate revenue from it, and our partners want it. The second is that we're the right people to do it. I come from a background of sports. Our VP of partnerships comes from Madison Square Garden. Our chief product officer comes from Dapper Labs, where he conceived NBA Top Shot. So we're the right people to do this. We're the right partners to do this. And that's why we're starting to see more and more deals close. And you should expect us to continue to make bets on ourselves in those areas that we're succeeding.
It's an interesting take. I think that a lot of the NFT talk has been on the software side and the minting, but you really are saying, listen, this is about knowing the audience. It's really key. You come from a sports entertainment. It's key to be able to obviously engage the fans. It's not just about minting. That's only one small portion of it. It ultimately is driving audience for the NFTs, and that's obviously your expertise.
Yeah, and I think 2021 was the year of mass adoption, or everyone looking at NFTs, and the world was starting to realize what NFTs are, and we saw these PFP projects, a lot of minting, a lot of selling out of projects. 2022 is the year of utility. The consumer now no longer just wants to mint an NFT and have it as their profile picture. They want to do something with it. And we think games are the most natural way to do it. There are going to be other utilities as well. But what we're betting on and what we're excited about is giving NFTs a utility in games, because that's what we're good at and that's what we know. So that's what I think we're going to see a lot of this year is NFT utility, and we're going to be at the forefront of games.
Well, you heard it here, folks. It's moving from gamify to making a verb out of gameonify, maybe in the future.
Yes,
in the middle of everything. I love it. You obviously value your investors. You continue to connect them as fans. You're building audience, and you recently announced shareholder perks for investors. Why are individual investors important to you?
Yeah, I mean, every single investor is important to us, and we want to give back to investors who are supporting us. So the easiest way for us to do that is via perks, and I'd been looking for a platform that existed that could do it, and was struggling to find something. And when I stumbled across TiiCKER, it was exactly what we were looking for. We want to give shareholders some swag. We want to have them repping and showing off their GameOn fandom. We want to give back to them not only through that, but through other rewards. Like right now, we have a perk where you can come to Miami, where I'm based, and come and experience a Miami Heat game with me, and spend some time with me and ask me questions. So we're going to continue to double down on our perks and find more unique perks to give to our shareholders. It's been very well received. We do listen and read the forums and hear what everyone's saying, and everyone loves the perks that they've been receiving. So aside from that, our virtual door is always open. So if any shareholders are listening, some do reach out to me. I always write back. So continue to reach out to me and ask questions. Tell me your thoughts and feedback, and we look forward to providing more ways to add value, like our rewards and perks.
I think that's, again, it's converting those fans to owners and owners to fans, and that just is what your business is, and it clearly makes a lot of sense. And for those of you listening, TiiCKER.com/GET, you can get right to those perks and get in the game, as they say, or as you say. Speaking of investors, let's talk about Matt the investor. Do you remember the first stock you ever bought? What was that? What were you when you first got in the stock market? What was on your list?
I mean, so when I first got in the stock market, it actually wasn't too long ago. It was a few months ago, and I bought some sports betting shares. So I got into things like DraftKings and Penn National Gaming and things like that, because I'd grown up in a place where sports betting was massive and legal and normal, and I just saw that the US really can be the biggest market in the world for sports betting, and I still believe that. That's what I got into first, but definitely now, GameOn is my biggest position, and all of us, leadership group and ownership group, are all locked up into the future, fully vested into the future of GameOn. So definitely, GameOn is what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, your investors like to hear that. That's for sure.
Yes,
So
exactly.
how about brands that you admire? So again, you look at the audience. You're building this entertainment technology platform to really scale beyond a lot of different industries. But who's your big brand or big company that you say that's what I'm going to be when I grow up?
I mean, when I look at brands that I admire, and it's a big reason why I came to the US as well, is I just think the way that North America does sports well, it's nothing like I'd ever seen before until I got here. And if I think about going back to Australia one day, which I think I will, that's one part that I already miss when I think about it, is the fandom or the event and the occasion of an American sports game, or like the NFL playoffs that just happened, and those crazy weekend of incredible games that the whole country is watching. Or when I lived in New York, on Sunday football, you walk down the street and every single bar is absolutely packed, and you see men and women and children and everyone wearing their jersey and walking down the street. It's just, I think the NFL, the big leagues, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, MLB, and then the teams underneath them have just done an incredible job of making sports such a huge occasion that Americans or North Americans might take for granted. It's not like that in everywhere in the world. So that's something that I really admire, and I'm looking forward to getting out to LA for Super Bowl week not too soon, which will be the first time, other than New York, because I was there. It'll be the first time since then that I'm in a city where the Super Bowl's happening, and just experiencing that vibe will be really exciting.
Oh, that is really exciting, and I think that in many ways you're kind of translating that passion of the fans digitally, and to be able to again convert fandom to the palm of your hand sounds like a lot of what GameOn's doing. Talk to me about what you're most excited about at GameOn.
I'm most excited about the stage that we're at. We're at that stage now where we're just starting to hit our straps from a customer and revenue standpoint. Last year was the year of setting us up with the right team. We went public in June. We'd raised $5.8 million. We were just a team of 3 at the time. We grew that team to 20, more than 20 of us now, some of the best in the business. And we brought on one of our customers, became an investor, Times Internet. They're the biggest media conglomerate in India. Polygon, the blockchain, invested in us. So last year was the year of just getting the right people in the room. This year is the year of executing and scaling customers and revenue. And we're at that early stage that I think, and I hope investors look back, our early investors that invest now look back a year from now and be like, I picked that winner early. I picked those guys early. That's the stage we're at. Is that it's a really exciting time. We're a small, relatively unknown, Canadian stock that are really about to hit our straps with customers and revenue. So I'm excited to really take off and execute this year and look back at a year of scaling customers and revenue.
No, that's great stuff, and it feels like maybe 2021 was your rookie of the year win, and now you're going for MVP, right? And
exactly,
that's the next stage. Well, certainly if you're looking to put some sports and entertainment in your portfolio, or you think gamification or game-onification is the future of sports and entertainment, GameOn sounds like a great pick. So. Matt, really appreciate having you on. Again, Matt Bailey, CEO of GameOn Entertainment Technologies. That's OTC GMETF, or on the CSE GET. Get in the game. Thanks for being on, Matt.
Thanks, Jeff. Talk soon.